Linda is sponsored by Teamsters Local 1932, protecting the future of working families. Teamsters1932.org.
Welcome to the Fabulous Lifestyle Radio Show, where we talk about food, fashion, finance, and foundations of life. We are live on KCAA Radio Broadcasting Network, 1050 AM, 102.3 and 106.5 FM. KCAA is affiliated with CNBC, NBC News, and NBC Sports. We are sponsored by Sheltered Studios, Fire Up Connect, and Building Solid Foundation.
Hello, 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 world. Welcome to the Fabulous Lifestyle Show. I'm your host, Cornelius, and my special guest again, Evelyn.
Hello, I'm so happy to be back.
How you doing, Evelyn?
I'm doing good, thank you.
Good, good. So
how are you doing?
I'm good. So what have you been up to since I saw you last?
So,
on Valentine's Day.
Really just preparing for this show. I'm excited to be back and that we can, talk about relationships again and expectations and realities. I know that's the subject of today's show. So yeah, thank you for having me back.
So do you know what made me come up with that for our topic today?
I think it kind of, from the last show, it kind of, bleeds into this kind of subject. So is that why you chose it?
Sort of, but you know what? I don't know if you remember at the end when we were talking about the Valentine thing, and you said that you wanted a good Christian man and all that stuff. And so that's what I thought about. I go, okay, so now we have these different expectations and relationships.
Right.
So today we're going to talk about like the different type of relationships, and then we're going to get into what we expect and then the reality of it. Because a lot of times we have an expectation, we get into this relationship, we go into it with this certain expectation, and it don't turn out that way. Once you get past the little green grass and then you get the real person and all the other stuff that goes with it, it's like, wow.
Right.
This wasn't what I was expecting or what I was hoping for. So with that said, let's talk about a few different types of relationships.
All right. So we have family relationships. So this is with your siblings, with your parents, with your aunts, uncles, So there's those relationships. Right? And then there's friendships, acquaintances, romantic relationships, and marriage relationships. So where should we start first?
Well, what do you want to start? I tell you what, we're going to start with the basic one first.
Okay.
We're going to start with the family.
All right.
All right, because at some point in time we come from a family, if we don't know them, but that's how we start off with the parents and all that good stuff. So let's start there. Tell me, everybody's relationship with their family, their mother and father is different.
Yes.
All right. So you have the father, you have the mother, and sometimes you have just one of each. Only a mother, only a father you're raised by. And so the difference in the way your parents treat you and your relationship with them, what are some things that we could talk about pertaining to that?
Yeah, so when it comes to family relationships, like you said, there's kids who have a mom and dad.
Right.
And there's kids who have divorced parents.
Right.
So it brings a different dynamic. There's kids who are foster kids who don't have parents, who have
Right.
parents but are not taking care of them. There's kids who maybe they were adopted. So there's so many family relationships, and I think in any situation it's good to keep contact, with your family. Obviously, if you feel safe and if it's not detrimental to your mental health, it's good to have to not burn bridges, because there's some people who don't talk to their family members, and there's reasons for that, So for relationships with your family members, it's important to to have boundaries as well. I hear a lot about where mother-in-laws are,
No.
or father-in-laws are in.
No, not mother-in-laws and father-in-laws.
Yeah.
I think
they are overstepping their boundaries.
Yeah, that's good. We're going to cover that when we get to this, because that's going to take
Okay.
a minute.
All right.
That's going to take a minute. But even with, like you said, with parental relationships, they can be different because a lot of times when we're kids, we're smart, we're good looking and all that stuff. So your parents have a expectation that you're going to grow up and you're going to do certain things or be a certain way. And then you grow up and be you.
Right,
And
right. They have
sometimes-
expectations, big dreams for their
Right.
children, right? Which is something normal, you know.
Right.
But sometimes that can bring pressure to that person. It's like, maybe I didn't become a doctor or a lawyer, you know, but maybe I'm doing what I love, you know. And there
Right.
are a lot of parents who are very supportive of that, but some are not, you know. So there's different expectations and realities in that situation, definitely.
Right. You know, I spent thousands of dollars a year for you to go to private school, and you finish school, and now you want to go find yourself.
Right. Now
You
you
know.
want to live in the wilderness.
Right. Now you want to go find yourself. So now your parents are somewhat, can you say disappointed or maybe even angry? And that causes
Yeah, I could
friction?
see that. Yeah, definitely. I feel like
Right.
parents, you know, for any parent, you know, they would have expectations, you know, and they have this vision in their mind that they want their children to become. And maybe that path is different, you know, when it comes to it. Maybe you want to do something else. Maybe you start a nonprofit or, you know, it could be anything, you know, and maybe it's not the money figure that you were hoping you would get or your parents thought you would be getting. So there's definitely like a lot of different realities, you know, to
Right.
when you're all grown and then, okay, well, what is my child doing, you know? And a lot of parents could be proud of their children even if they don't do what they were expecting them to do.
Right. Then sometimes the kids grow up and they're disappointed with their parents. They're like, wow, I'm so disappointed because my life would have been a whole lot better or different had you made me do this, made me do that, or not made me do this. So a lot of times we get a situation where you have the grown kids now, no matter what happens in their life, it's the parents' fault.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like they wish they would have had a little more guidance or a little bit more stricter parents, you know, because there are different parents, you know, we're not judging any kind of parent, but there are parents who are more lax, you know, in their boundaries, who let their kids come home at whatever time. You know, it's like there's no curfew, right? And then those kids, when they grow up, they might be wanting like, oh, I wish I had more of a structure in my home because then I would be more applied in school or I would have gotten better grades. You know, yeah, it could definitely go that way as well. And it's sad when it comes to that.
Right. Or the ones who said I had too much structure. I never got a chance to
Yes.
enjoy myself growing up, and that's why I do what I do now. Party all
Yes.
the time. 'Cause you wouldn't let me. Had you
It's
let
like-
me once, I would have. But now it's different. So it's amazing when you look at that aspect of it, that sometimes no matter what you do, good or bad, it just doesn't work out the way you planned, or there's someone blaming you for it for whatever reason. Because a lot of times what we see, or what, you know, you're a therapist, you see, you see people in their, even like me at 60 some years old, I still have friends go, oh yeah, when I was a kid, this and that. And I'm thinking, but we're in our 60s. You was only a kid for 18 years. You've been grown for 40 some years and you're still complaining about what happened when you were a kid. You know, I mean, I'm not undermining or saying it wasn't serious, but at this point in time, you've had a lot of years to take responsibility and try to do for yourself or make your life better.
Right. And I wanted to touch on that when you mentioned that parents are too strict. So it's like the other side of the extreme,
Right.
you know, and then they become rebellious, you know, because they didn't have that freedom. And then once they become rebellious, they're like, whoa, my parents were actually protecting me. You know, there are those situations where there's too much structure, or not structure, but there are too many rules, you know, so kids want to explore and they, you know, go through the rebellious years. So it just depends, you know, every situation is different and you want to have that balance, you know, with
Right.
your children, for sure.
Right. I know it's funny. When we were growing up, you know, we had structure. My parents had us in church. But after a while, I was like, wow, I get tired of going to church. I get tired of this. I get tired of that. You know, you're thinking because you're young and not so smart at the time. But that's part of being young. You know, your parents are older and they're wiser. They can see the future because they've lived long enough to see people go down this particular path. And so then once you get down that path, you turn around And he goes, wow. Then you say to yo, I wish I'd have just stayed a little, I wish I'd have listened, I wish I would have that. But by then it's too late and you're sitting here wishing and wishing but the problem is you can't go back. So, it's very tricky sometimes, let's say, put it that way, because, at the particular time you're doing whatever it is you're doing, you don't know how the future, you can't look into the future. I mean, if we could, we'd all do it, but we can't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So now we're going to go to the family with the kids. Now we're going to deal with that.
So
part
the
of it.
marriages.
No.
Oh,
See,
the romantic
you're in a hurry to get with the
relationships?
marriages. Don't worry. We're going to get there.
No, it was just what I thought you were talking about.
No, see, that's part of me being old and stuff. Sometimes we say stuff and you just, what does that mean? Nah, but even with the kids.
So did we skip acquaintances?
Yes. No, we're going to get to that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, see, I'm just want to finish up the family before you talk about the family relationship when we're talking about kids now.
Okay.
Like with my family, we had 7 kids.
Wow.
7 at the
Full
7.
house.
Full house. Yeah, that's right. Full house. Then the 8 came later. Then it was 8 is enough. Yeah, but
That's a good number.
Yeah, but even then, it's like you can have all these kids and grow up in the same house, and all the kids are different.
Yes.
You're wondering, okay,
Everyone has their own personality,
Yes.
their own, characteristics that makes them them.
right? It just like, where did you come from?
Right. It's
know,
like, are we related?
Yeah. Where did you come? Where did you come from? But that's there. Okay, so we're gonna get to that. So now we're gonna go friendships or acquaintances. I'm gonna let you pick. Which one you want to do now?
We can do friendships.
All right.
So friendships are, it could be good or bad, depending on what kind. So you always want to be a good friend to someone else, and you always want to, like the golden rule, do unto others as you want them to do to you. So friendships they're amazing. When you have
Right.
let's say you have a best friend that you've known your entire life, or you might have just met someone 3 months ago and now you guys are best friends, so it depends on the person, where you connect with someone more than someone that you've known forever, so friendships are I feel like it's a very vital thing in your life to have friendships, people who are not blood related, but they're there to support you, help you through every stage of your life, whether you're grieving or, you graduated from college, to celebrate you. So friendships are very, very important.
They are important. But the thing about friendships, you got to be careful of, because you can be friendshiping one person, but they're not really friendshipping you the same way. So a lot of times we can be friends with somebody, we really care about them, but then this person actually starts taking advantage of you.
Oh, yeah.
You ever had somebody, oh, we're really friends, and you find out later, oh, man, I can't believe it.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that.
Go ahead. Tell me your story.
So one thing that I've noticed is when friends don't follow through what they say. Maybe, they owe you money, or you drive them around, like, oh, I got you, I'll pay you later, or you pay for the food, I'll pay you later, and then that day never comes, so you start looking at the situation like, oh, can I trust this person? Even though I get along with this person, I love this person, but really, what are their intentions? They don't follow through, so that kind of breaks the trust in the relationship. So it's important to follow through and be honest, So that's just a situation that I've come across, but it's making me think like, oh, can I trust this person? Like, are they trustworthy? So that kind of breaks a little bit of the trust in the relationship,
Right.
If you're not honest and genuine and, follow through. So it's important to be loyal. It's important to, treat someone like you want them to treat you.
They say, oh, here's friendly Evelyn. Let me take advantage of her. Then by the time she's find out that I'm not really a friend, it's too late.
Yeah, exactly. And then
Yeah.
that's when you have to have boundaries. It's like, okay, maybe I am too nice. I get walked all over on,
Yeah.
stepped all over on, but because I'm a nice person, and that's when you have to, maybe when it comes to that, just set an expectation, with your friend, which is a hard conversation to have. I'm sure a lot of people have experienced that before, but it makes you think definitely to kind of ponder upon like, okay, is this a healthy relationship or is this not? Am I being taken advantage of? Do I not have enough boundaries? So friendships are very important, you know, because you don't want to lose your friendships, but also, you know, you want to bring things up if something like that comes up.
Right. So you're trying to find out, if they're friends or not. You know what? We're going to finish up about friendships on the other side of this commercial. You have the Fabulous Lifestyle, Evelyn and Cornelius. We'll be right back.
Yes, thank you.
You're listening to Fabulous Lifestyle Radio. I'm your host, Ricky Perry, and we are affiliated with CNBC, NBC News, and Sports, where we broadcast to over 5 million households in the greater Los Angeles area. If you missed our previous shows, you can watch us on our streaming networks on Roku TV, Amazon Fire Stick, and the Android app.
Looking to attract your target market without soliciting or doing the cold calling? Call Marie Waite and book your consultation. Branding gives you the power to create a unique and classy perception of your business for your target audience. A marketing plan without the right branding will always cost more, take longer, and tend to deliver subpar results compared to a well-branded business. Marie Waite is a branding strategist who formulates effective marketing and media programs to promote your business in building your name, brand, and legacy. Marie has over 10 years of experience and a proven record of creating strong brand content for business owners, entrepreneurs, and companies using her creative ideas, recommendations, and innovative programs. Book now at mariewaite.com or call her at 951-378-5316, 951-378-5316.
This is Steve Matley. Join me every Thursday at 3 p.m. right here on KCAA for Building Solid Foundations radio talk show. I spent decades as a professional construction manager, business owner, real estate developer, and a college educator, and I enjoy learning new things from other people. We talk a lot about real estate, business, and finance, but we cover a diverse range of other topics as well. Some of the topics we've discussed in the past few months include real estate investing, leadership, higher education, ADUs, marketing using technology, multifamily rental properties, business strategy, entrepreneurship. You never know who may show up or what they may talk about. So join us right here on KCAA for Building Solid Foundations Radio.
Hey guys, it's Damon, Mr. Foxy, Damon Hart, and I'm here with the Real Men of Real Estate. And I just want to say, hey, come and watch us this Sunday, 1 p.m. live, every Sunday. Okay, we're going to be on KCAA Radio. 10:50 a.m., 106.5 FM. If you got a minute, just tune in. We can't wait to have you here. I'm going to be there. If you can't make it on there, we're going to be at Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, or Android app on Building Solid Foundations channel. So tune in. You know what you got to do in the meantime. Keep it foxy.
All right, we're back with the Fabulous Lifestyle. Okay, when we left off, we were talking about friendships and the non-friendship things that happen. And so so let me ask you a question when we get to the next. So if that's not a friend, that's more of an acquaintance.
Yeah, and that makes you think, because I'm like, oh, I thought that was my friend, but you have to put in time, you know, and effort into a friendship, and you also want to get that return back, you know, because if you're investing all this time, all this money, all this, you know, time basically into a friendship, and then you're not getting that back, you're like, oh, maybe it's a one-sided friendship, and maybe it is an acquaintance, you know, because you don't have that bond, that trust. Because if you have a friend, you fully trust them. You know, you fully trust that they have your back when you're not there. You fully trust that they have the best intentions, you know. Also, another thing, when you celebrate, you know, your big accomplishments in life, like, are they happy for you? Are they not happy for you? So it's like watching those things as well. You know, so friendship is a big part of life.
So if you're accomplishing stuff, and this person who you thought was your friend, and now when they snarling, you know, all that stuff, that's an acquaintance.
Right.
That, you know, and that happens a lot of times as you get older, especially when you're friends with people when you're younger. Mm-hmm. So as you get older and you're accomplishing things and you're doing things, and they may still stay at the same level they've always been, but you can only be friends for so long because the places you go and the people you're involved with and the things you do, like I say, they can look at you and then all of a sudden they have this attitude. They're like, oh, well, now you think you're better than us. You go, what are you talking about? So as you get older and your life changes, things change, and then the way you think change. So if this person is still doing the same thing, thinking the same way, sooner or later, you almost have to go your separate ways. And a lot of times when that happens, that friend becomes an acquaintance, as soon it can just be a hater or anything, because as you get older and you want to accomplish stuff, everybody, they don't want to accomplish stuff. They don't want to move forward. Some people can't take change.
Right. And sometimes friendships are there for a season in your life. So just because you met someone, recently, or you've known them for a few years, maybe you don't have to continue being friends. Maybe like the time has expired that you're friends,
Right.
when those kind of behaviors arise. And that's when you have to reflect, and it's it's hard to say bye to friendships, because you have to grieve that friendship, the memories, the good times you had with your friends. And maybe there's new friends on the horizon, maybe there's new
Right.
friends are meant for you, in the future. And sometimes you're not meant to be friends with people forever, it'll be nice, but it doesn't work like that, because everyone has seasons of your life. It's not always how we want it to be.
Right. Seasons. They come and they go. And that's what we have to realize. A lot of times we hold on to friendships and other things too long.
Yes.
That's why they sour. Because you start seeing these little signs, things like that, that happens, like that they have some event, they don't invite you, or you find out through the grapevine they're having it. You're like, hey, why didn't you tell me? And it goes, oh, they didn't tell you? Then you have the acquaintances who will know they didn't tell you, and they'll say something on purpose just to hurt you. Oh, they didn't tell you? Oh.
And also, if it's an acquaintance, it's not going to hurt as much because they're just an acquaintance.
Right.
But if it's like someone who you feel is a true friend, then it is going to sting a little.
It is. I remember years ago, I had this guy, we were best friends. And so he was having a party. And so, they called the morning, his wife called the morning of the party. She's like, oh, well, he's sick, so the party's canceled. I was like, oh, man, the party's canceled. I was like, oh, man, I feel bad on his birthday and the party's canceled. He's sick. I was like, well, let me take what I have for him over there anyway. And so I get there and I look up. And I see all the birthday balloons and all the happy birthday signs and all this
Did you
stuff.
go to his house?
I went to his house because we were best friends.
Right. You're going to check up on your best friend because he's sick.
I'm going to check up on my best friend because he's sick on his birthday and had to cancel his party. So I walk in and I knock on the door and she opens the door. She looks like, oh. And I was like, hey.
Your friend opened the door?
My friend's wife.
Oh, okay.
I was like, hey, I used to call him old boy. I say, hi, blank, where's old boy at? And she was like, and then he comes to the door.
He's
he
like,
goes,
getting ready.
Are you going to come back later? And I looked, and I'm like, wow, everything's set for the party. The party's still on, but I got uninvited.
Wow. Do you know why that happened? Why did you get uninvited?
His wife did it, not him. Because when he came, he greeted me and all that. I can tell it wasn't him. But I was still hurt. Even though I was a big grown man, and my feelings was hurt.
Right.
Yeah, because I'm saying, well, this is my best friend.
That is so sad. So his wife, she just didn't like you, or
I don't know. I guess not.
Something happened.
I guess not now.
Yeah.
But whatever it was. But I'm saying, even though we're grown, things still hurt us.
Right. If you're human, you're always going to have feelings. It doesn't matter if you're 5 years old or 80 years old,
Yeah.
So you're still going to.
I'm still hurt.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. Okay, so the next relationship, this is the one that really started about you, romantic relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So expectations, right?
Oh, yeah.
So for me, based on I'm religious, I have a lot of standards and things that I'm looking for in a relationship. So maybe something that you're looking for is not something that I'm looking for. People with different walks of life are looking for different things, right? So one thing that is very important is, loyalty. Actually, number one is that they have to love God, right? So that's something that obviously not everyone loves God. So maybe I wiped off half of the population, so I don't have a lot of people to pick from. But I would expect, them to love God, to be a hard worker, to have good relationships with their families, to want a family, want kids. So there's like a lot of things that I can list, right, that I'm
Right.
expecting. And some people they don't mind if he's not a man of God, or they don't mind if, whatever it may be. So everyone who's in a different season of life has different expectations.
Right.
So it's going to vary. Like, what about you?
Well, I do have expectations. I'm a little older, but like you said, we're going to stick with you for a minute.
Okay.
Okay, but this is a little example. So you say you want a man of God and all this stuff. So here I go. I'm a guy you just met. Hi, Evelyn. Oh, you're pretty, Evelyn. Oh, I love God so much. Oh, God, I love God so much. Oh, and I love my family and all that. So they go through this motion because they know your expectations, because you've already told them what you want.
Right.
So now they know they have the playbook on what to do. So you go here, and this guy, he loves God. He loves this. He's a hard worker. He loves his mother. He loves his father. He loves all this. And then you go, oh, man, this is just the one I wanted, just the man I wanted. But then once he gets you or gets to in a relationship with you, come to find out, he doesn't like God. He doesn't like his family. Doesn't like nothing. So now here's your reality. So now that you've gotten all involved and your hearts went out to him and he was this good guy. So now what do?
So actually, psychologists said there's been studies that show that someone does not show their true colors until 6 months into a relationship,
Right.
or 6 months into knowing someone. So you have to be very vigilant, vigilant, excuse me. And you have to have discernment, because you're still there. Whoever you meet is always going to put their best foot forward.
Right.
Right. They're always going to, first impressions are, not everything, but they are something, right? So whoever is trying to pursue you is going to be pretty much perfect, unless they show their true colors,
Right.
if they do have red flags. So it's important to, be watchful, take everything with a grain of salt. I feel like you really don't know who someone is unless you talk to their family members or actually get to know them. So
Right.
it does take 6 months to get to know someone. And if you're smart enough, you'll catch it. If not, like you said, if you're 6 months in and now you're invested, it's never too late to back out of a relationship. It's never too late to know your worth, or say, maybe I didn't have the standard before, but now I do, and it's never too late to step away and look for someone else. It doesn't matter what age you are. So that's my perspective on that.
Yeah, because the people, they can't see in the audience, they can't hear. But see, my girlfriend, she's sitting right over there. So, you gotta have to take time. You have to take time. And then we're going to get to the marriage part. And that's where we really get into it. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot of times, what people, they get swooned. What is it, swooned? What's that word?
Oh, swooned?
Swooned, yeah. They see this person and they look so good and all that. They're handsome, or they're pretty. They're everything I ever wanted. And then they just, they get blinded, because now you're looking at this person and you're thinking, man,
It's like the best person you've ever
oh man, it's
been
the
with.
best thing that ever happened to me. It's like when you're hungry, you find a steak dinner out of the middle of nowhere, and then you're just that. So all these things, they're obvious signs, but you're ignoring them. You're ignoring
Right.
them because this is the person beyond your dreams. And so
Right.
you ignore all these things. No matter what happens, you let it go. You let it go, and then you get people tell you, oh, this and that. Oh, no, that's not the
That's
person
why it's
I know.
important to have people around you, right, who have your back, or who have, spent time with that person, and they can say, hey, I found something weird about him or her, or,
Right.
so it's important to have a community when you do have someone that you want to marry, potentially, because then they can say, like, oh, something is weird, something is off about him or her,
Right.
or, oh, I really like this person for you, he's a great guy or a great girl, so
Right.
it's important to have those people, like your support system.
Okay. Well, you know what? That's good. I tell you what, we're going to pick this up on the other side of this commercial. Be right back. Again, Evelyn Cornelius, The Fabulous Lifestyle.
You're listening to Fabulous Lifestyle Radio. I'm your host, Ricky Perry, and we are affiliated with CNBC, NBC News, and Sports, where we broadcast to over 5 million households in the greater Los Angeles area. If you missed our previous shows, you can watch us on our streaming networks on Roku TV, Amazon Fire Stick, and the Android app.
Looking to attract your target market without soliciting or doing the cold calling? Call Marie Waite and book your consultation. Branding gives you the power to create a unique and classy perception of your business for your target audience. A marketing plan without the right branding will always cost more, take longer, and tend to deliver subpar results compared to a well-branded business. Marie Waite is a branding strategist who formulates effective marketing and media programs to promote your business in building your name, brand, and legacy. Marie has over 10 years of experience and a proven record of creating strong brand content for business owners, entrepreneurs, and companies using her creative ideas, recommendations, and innovative programs. Book now at mariewaite.com or call her at 951-378-5316, 951-378-5316.
This is Steve Matley. Join me every Thursday at 3 p.m. right here on KCAA for Building Solid Foundations radio talk show. I spent decades as a professional construction manager, business owner, real estate developer, and a college educator, and I enjoy learning new things from other people. We talk a lot about real estate, business, and finance, but we cover a diverse range of other topics as well. Some of the topics we've discussed in the past few months include real estate investing, leadership, higher education, ADUs, marketing using technology, multifamily rental properties, business strategy, entrepreneurship. You never know who may show up or what they may talk about, so join us right here on KCAA for Building Solid Foundations Radio.
Hey guys, it's Damon, Mr. Foxy, Damon Hart, and I'm here with the real men of real estate. And I just want to say, hey, come and watch us this Sunday, 1 p.m. live, every Sunday. Okay, we're going to be on KCAA Radio. 10:50 a.m., 106.5 FM. If you got a minute, just tune in. We can't wait to have you here. I'm going to be there. If you can't make it on there, we're going to be at Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, or Android app on Building Solid Foundations channel. So tune in. You know what you got to do in the meantime. Keep it foxy.
All right, welcome back. Welcome back to the Fabulous Lifestyle Show. Okay, before we went to break, you were saying about the family, and you were talking about the person, something like that. So now let's jump into marriage. That's what you've been wanting to talk about.
All right.
All right, so marriage is a relationship. You know, you're married now. Mm-hmm. We done got past all this other stuff, so now we're married. Okay, and you get married, and you said about 6 months, that's how you can tell and all that stuff. Okay, we're married 10 years down the line. So now the marriage isn't working because our expectations when we got married, now everything in reality is different. So here we go. You marry, you know, I get married. I weigh 160 pounds. 10 years later, you've been feeding me or I've been doing whatever I've been doing. Now I weigh 260 pounds, big old pot belly and all this stuff. And now you don't look at me the same. You don't look at me like that handsome guy with hair, no hair, and all that. See how things changed over the years? But we're married now. So when we talk about the friends and all these other things that are going on, so how do we address that? I mean,
so that's a good question because that actually makes me think, were you really even in love with that person if you are seeing the changes in their body and now you're like, don't see them the same? It actually reminds me, it's kind of funny, that have you ever watched the 600-Pound Life?
No,
on TLC?
I don't watch none with 600 pounds.
Okay, so there's people who are way overweight who are trying to get, back into shape, and they're all of them are married. Right. So they're 600 pounds, so they love them because of who that person is, not because of the way they look. They can't even walk. They're medically handicapped, like, because of their weight. So it just goes to show that if someone loves you, it's because of who you are. It doesn't matter if your body changes, because with age, we're gonna, lose our hair or we're gonna have wrinkles. So we're gonna look different, regardless. But that person, if they really loved you, they would still love you regardless of how you look, because they're also changing, right? So it goes both ways as well.
So if a person married them at 600 pounds, they may like it that way. So now if you lose weight, it's just the opposite. But now it goes, well, you're changing, why do you want to lose weight? I love you whether you were.
Sure, yeah, it could definitely go that way. And
Right.
when they met them, I don't think they were 600 pounds, but they've stayed because they love that person, and they want to make sure they get back to health. But it just made me think of that because when you watch that show, none of them are single. They're all married. They all have a family. And you think like, wow, like someone, everyone is going to have a different taste, right?
Right.
Everyone is going to like something different.
Right. So that just goes to show you how important, like you say, you loving the person is more than the outside, the inside, the
Yes.
heart, more than the physical part, because that's changing constantly.
Yes, yes. And if that person changes, because as you get older, you evolve, you have different mindsets, that person should still love you, regardless of if you're changed. Because you mentioned it before, let's say you get married at 15 and then, well, that's too young. I wouldn't recommend that. But let's say you're married at 30 and then you're 80, you're not going to be the same person until you're 80 years old, right? You're going to evolve. You're going to have different, maybe you like to travel and maybe when you're older, you don't like to travel, so things can change.
Right, right. And I found from personal experience that does. You do like a lot of time, I've heard people say, oh, well, I'm in love with them, but I don't love them, because when you get older, you do change. I mean, everybody changes whether you want to or not, be it physical, mental, your thinking changes. And a lot of times what you have to do, you have to constantly look at that person and do all these things with them to get to know them again and how they're changing, because at 15 or not 15, you got me on that 15.
Yeah,
there,
no,
so
not 15. I just
we're in a-
remember
we're in
like
that- we're not
my
in one of those
grandparents.
countries. Right, yeah. But, at 20, 25, you think one way. Then at 35, you're thinking differently. Then at 45, so with each decade, I sort of speak, you're changing and things are changing. Your emotions change, the way you feel about things change. So you have to take time to get to know that person as they're changing.
Right.
As they're
Yeah.
changing. And allow them the room
mhm.
to change.
And in a marriage, you have to always be pursuing your spouse, right? Because maybe they like red roses when you met them, but now they like hydrangeas, or, that's just a small example.
Right.
So you never should stop dating your spouse or your girlfriend or boyfriend, right? Always get to know them, always try to make their day, by even small little things can help that. So it's that person is always going to be changing. Maybe they like a certain cereal their whole life, but now they tried something else and they like Cheerios or something like that.
Right.
You don't know. That person is always going to be changing, and it's always important to constantly get to know them as they evolve.
Right. Don't be like, well, you used to like Cheerios. Why don't you like Cheerios anymore?
Right. Maybe not like Lucky Charms or
Right,
something
right.
else.
No, well, who turned you on to Cheerios? How did you get to, you're doing all these things, and not I'm saying jealousy necessarily, but you have to say, okay, well, if that's what you like, that's what I'll get next time.
Right. And then you're mindful of what they asked you.
Right.
It's like, oh, I like this cereal now. And then they're going to notice like, oh, he got me the cereal. He actually listened to me. He's so sweet and kind, So that just helps the relationship become better and stronger.
Right. Being attentive.
Yes. It's the little things, really.
Attentive, respectful.
Yes.
Yes. So we talked about the friends and family earlier. So now let's say you've been married for 10, 20 years and you've never gotten along with that person's family. And the mother-in-law,
Ooh.
let's just say I'm not going to say the father-in-law too, but let's just say the mother-in-law, she's never like your husband.
That's tough. I don't know how people stay personally like in relationships like that, because I've known people who have, and I'm like, wow, you're telling me all these things about your mother-in-law, and I would hate to be you,
Right.
for real. I would hate to be in that situation. And I think the love for their spouse is so strong that they're willing to go through that. If it's, not abuse, but just neglect from their mother-in-law, or maybe they don't treat them right. And actually, it's funny because a lot of the times they were like that before they got married.
Right.
So the mother-in-law has always been like that. They just decided to ignore it, So it's just
Right.
it's important to be watchful for those things, because the moment you get married, things are just going to get worse, right?
Right.
Maybe it wasn't too bad of a issue before, but now it was still there. Right? So then
Right.
you're going to see it after you get married. It's just going to get worse.
Right. So the thing is that your love has to be so strong that even when you get outside interferences, it survives. It has to be, you know what? No, You know, even though I don't like your mother-in-law, you know, and all the things she do, how nasty she treats me, because I love you so much, I'm gonna tone that out, even though it's hard.
Right.
You know, it's hard, but then, you know, it's be that way because I know a lot of times situations come up, especially if you have a disagreement. You know, you got to really be careful who you talk to, because if you talk to the wrong person, because if you already know mother-in-law don't like you, don't like that person, don't go tell mother-in-law the things that you're having problems with, because now that just fuels it, and now
They
they'll-
have more things they can have against you.
right. Then they get everybody else on board, the whole family. Now the whole family don't like you.
Yeah, you
And,
don't want
know,
that.
That's a lot of pressure.
Yes.
But that's what happens. That's why we got to be careful of our friendships or our acquaintances and know how to keep everybody where they belong.
Exactly. And another point I want to touch on is if, let's say, it's your mother-in-law, right, who's not very kind. So that's when you want your husband to back you up, your husband to talk to their mother and say, hey, this is making me feel uncomfortable and it's not making my wife feel uncomfortable. Could you please, you know, tone it down a little bit, you know, and that's when you're going to feel that support from your husband because he has your back. You know, he cares about, because sometimes it's hard to talk to your mother about like, hey, you know, my wife didn't like the way you did this or said this. I'm sure that's a difficult conversation.
Right.
Right. So when it actually happens, you know, you're protecting your marriage because that's the most important thing. And you're putting boundaries, you know, where it doesn't matter if this is my mother, I still have to put that boundary, you know, to protect my marriage.
Right. And then sometimes they'll be like, you know what? If my mother don't like you, you got to go.
Right. Which is,
Right. So
it
you
does
know,
happen.
It does. So you know, it just like I said, that's part of the change. Like you, if that situation's already there before you get married, and they're do this, you know, the mother-in-law's running the house from a long distance.
Right.
You know, and then that just creates hate. Then the kids, they're watching all these things go on, and then they're trying to turn the kids against you. I mean, it just tears everything up if you
Yeah.
let
It
it.
starts a little seed, you know, that shouldn't be there. And then it just keeps growing if you allow it. Yeah,
Right.
because you don't want your kids to also pick up those behaviors as well, you know, because they might
Right.
be like, well, this is normal. This is what I grew up with. And then they carry it on to their marriages and then they suffer as well.
Right. So you're just like it's passed down.
Yes. Yeah.
Mama's boy, mama's boy.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh no, you know, it's a well, let me see what's that. It's hard sometimes because, of course, you know, you grow up and you want to be respectful of your family, your parents. But once you get married, then they no longer count the way they did, and now it's
Right.
you in the marriage. So
Right.
it's like, hey, you know what? If you don't like it, if you have something that if you don't want my wife to come or my husband to come, then I'm not coming.
Right.
We're not going to start this division within the house just to please the outside force.
Right, because you want to have their back. You know, they
Right.
want to know that you actually care about their feelings and that they come before any family member. Because,
Right.
you know, once let's say you're empty nesters, it's you and your husband, you know, together. You know, so it's you got to make sure that you feed that relationship daily.
Right.
You know, and it doesn't stop. It never stops. You know, you got to keep on protecting your spouse at all costs,
That's it.
all the time.
That's right. And that's it. That's it all the time. At any cost, you got to be so, well.
If you care about your marriage, right?
Right, if
Because
you care
then
about your marriage.
yeah, because if you don't, then it's going to fall apart. You know, we see it all the time. You know, the percentages of divorce is 50%. That's really high.
Yeah.
So the 50% of people who get married, they don't go into it thinking they're going to get divorced, you know, but it happens. It can happen to anyone, you know.
That's true. See, it's two of us here. We're running 100%. So since I got divorced, you're right, 50%.
Oh, 50%.
Yeah. See, so there, I'm the 50. And that's the 50. Like I said, but it does. You know, it's that over the period of time, you have to keep showing the love and affection. Like you say, keep dating.
Yes,
Keep
yes.
dating. Never be, okay, you know. And
Never get too comfortable.
Right, and no matter what. And then say, don't expect that person to stay the same mentally or physically that they were when you first got married.
Right.
You know, because it's not going to happen.
Yes, exactly. Things should change. You know, you should always become a better person, and your mindset is going to evolve. And hopefully, you get to spend the rest of your life with that person. You know, who you chose, because when you get married, you become one. You know,
Right.
you're one unit. You're a team. You know, so it's important to continue. You know, rooting for your team and, you know, winning for your
Right.
team.
That's it. Got to be a winner. And one of the most important things about that, how you keep all these things intact, is how you communicate with each other.
Yes, communication is very
Right,
important. Yes.
right. Very important. So we're going to take a break. Then on the other side of this break, we're going to talk a little bit more about communicating. All right?
You're listening to Fabulous Lifestyle Radio. I'm your host, Ricky Perry, and we are affiliated with CNBC, NBC News, and Sports, where we broadcast to over 5 million households in the greater Los Angeles area. If you missed our previous shows, you can watch us on our streaming networks on Roku TV, Amazon Fire Stick, and the Android app.
Looking to attract your target market without soliciting or doing the cold calling? Call Marie Waite and book your consultation. Branding gives you the power to create a unique and classy perception of your business for your target audience. A marketing plan without the right branding will always cost more, take longer, and tend to deliver subpar results compared to a well-branded business. Marie Waite is a branding strategist who formulates effective marketing and media programs to promote your business in building your name, brand, and legacy. Marie has over 10 years of experience and a proven record of creating strong brand content for business owners, entrepreneurs, and companies using her creative ideas, recommendations, and innovative programs. Book now at mariewaite.com or call her at 951-378-5316, 951-378-5316.
This is Steve Matley. Join me every Thursday at 3 p.m. right here on KCAA for Building Solid Foundations Radio Talk Show. I spent decades as a professional construction manager, business owner, real estate developer, and a college educator, and I enjoy learning new things from other people. We talk a lot about real estate, business, and finance, but we cover a diverse range of other topics as well. Some of the topics we've discussed in the past few months include real estate investing, leadership, higher education, ADUs, marketing using technology, multifamily rental properties, business strategy, entrepreneurship. You never know who may show up or what they may talk about, so join us right here on KCAA for Building Solid Foundations Radio.
Hey guys, it's Damon, Mr. Foxy, Damon Hart, and I'm here with the real men of real estate. And I just want to say, hey, come and watch us this Sunday, 1 p.m. live, every Sunday. Okay, we're going to be on KCAA Radio. 10:50 a.m., 106.5 FM. If you got a minute, just tune in. We can't wait to have you here. I'm going to be there. If you can't make it on there, we're going to be at Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, or Android app on Building Solid Foundations channel. So tune in. But you know what you got to do in the meantime. Keep it foxy.
All right, welcome back to the Fabulous Lifestyle Show. So, Evelyn, before we went to break, we were talking about communicating, right?
Yes.
Okay, so good news, bad news, world. The good news is we'll be back. The bad news is we won't be back to April. So, on April 27th, we're going to go from this show, we're going to go to the E Factor show, our own show. We're going to have our own radio show, world. And it's going to be the second and fourth Saturdays, starting first Saturday in April at 1 o'clock. But you'll be back. That'll be April 13th.
Yeah, I will
be back.
Yes, I'll be back April 27th.
April
so the
27th.
last show that you'll have here, I'll be back for that one.
Right. On April 27th, then we'll start that. But
And you'll have a special guest for the April 13th, right?
yes,
Okay.
yes. I'll announce them later. But when we come back, what we're going to do, we're going to pick up where we left off about communicating and how important it is. That's the foundation for everything. And so we're going to start that, and we're going to pick this up. So everybody out there listening, come back April 27th at 1 o'clock and get the rest of what we have to tell you about communicating, how important it is. Yeah, and so if you want to reach us, you can reach us at area code 951-238-4720 or email us at info@therenaissanceman.com. We're available for private events and private lessons on everything that we teach in our classes. And
Do you want to share a little bit about the Renaissance Man?
Right. See, the Renaissance Man is life skills, leadership, and etiquette. And so you goes, oh, you just teach how to eat. No, we teach how to eat, how to communicate. We teach life skills. You know, all the things you need to know to make your life better and your families better. And Matter of fact, that's what Evelyn is. She's a facilitator for the Renaissance Man. So you can see we speak Spanish too.
Yes, I am bilingual.
Yeah, so we're available for all your events. And what we're going to be doing too, starting in April, we're going to add on to it. We're going to be doing public events. So if you have some place that you want us to come and do something for you or classes, we'll be available. Even then, we'll go out. We're going to go out in the community, and we're going to do things that we're going to have live shows.
Yeah, and I feel like etiquette is something that has been lost for a few generations, maybe. You know, some
Right.
people don't know how to, and it's not their fault, you know, they just never learn how to use all the forks, all the spoons, all the cups on the table. And it's a good skill to have, you know, just to have etiquette at the dinner table, you know, those manners. And, you know, if you have teenagers, you know, or adult kids, that's a perfect, or at any age, actually.
Any age.
We can learn, because I even need to brush up on my skills. You know, I had a few etiquette classes, which I loved. I always enjoy those, you know, so it's always good to brush up on those skills and learn about etiquette. You know, you're never going to regret, you know, like, oh, I have too many manners, you know,
Right.
I have too much knowledge on how to, you know, eat my meal, if it's like a 10-course meal, or, you know, it could be 1-course meal, whatever it may be.
Right. And not only that, we teach you how to carry yourself, how to dress, and all these things. So when you go out with your wife or your spouse, or no matter where you go, you know, you're dressed for the occasion, you know how to speak for the occasion, you know you're prepared. That way you not only feel better with your spouse, but you feel better about yourself. And that's what our
Yes.
goal is, to influence, impact, and inspire. All righty, so this is it. We're out of here. We'll see you in April. Thanks again.
Bye. Thank you for having me again.
Thank you. Look forward to seeing you again.
Yes,
You know
me
where
too.
we'll be at
Likewise.
on the 27th. We'll be right here at 1 o'clock.
Yes.
KCAA is your CNBC News affiliate. We're the station that gets down to business.
Hi, this is Graham Smith, and I'm running for County Supervisor in District 3. I know you're getting inundated with messages about the election, so I'll keep this short. If you want a supervisor who won't waste your tax dollars, who will be a watchdog over the $10 billion county budget, who understands the danger of relying solely on warehouses to keep our economy going, and who isn't taking donations from corporations or sitting politicians, vote for me. Graham Smith for Supervisor in District 3. I've worked for 20 years in finance and business. I know how to grow our economy, create jobs, and make sure your tax dollars aren't being wasted. I'm not a politician. I'm just a resident of San Bernardino who's tired of unqualified leaders who make promises they can't keep. And I care about people, affordable housing, and honest and open government. We need to address our challenges in a realistic manner. A county supervisor needs to pay attention. So if you're ready for